Ja Morant has officially been fined $75,000 by the NBA for the finger gun motions he had against Buddy Hield, and as well as the taunting that he did against the Golden State Warriors bench, including Stephen Curry, who did not take kindly to that gesture. I'm your host, Joey Mercer. We've got a lot of content to cover there today. No videos were released yesterday, so we're going to look at 3, maybe 4 videos being put out for you there today. Lots to talk about, and right at the top, we're going to talk about Ja Morant and his $75,000 fine. And there's a lot to dive into with that, so without further ado, let's get right to it. So obviously we know the issues that Ja Morant's had over the past couple of seasons when it comes to, waving a gun in a strip club, on an Instagram Live, different issues he's had on and off the court, whether it be injuries, whether it be his team performing better with him off the court is another issue on its own. But this situation, we go right back to finger guns, right on the court, and he did it towards Buddy Hield, who had gestured to him, kind of egged him on with it, but definitely not something that Ja Morant needed to do. Going into a timeout, passing by the bench, and then getting in an altercation with the overall bench. And you could see Steph Curry's expression, if you saw the clip of that, was not pleased by it whatsoever. This article is actually by Jeff Zilgett of USA Today. And we can see here it says the NBA on Friday fined Memphis Grizzlies guard Ja Morant $75,000 for twice making an inappropriate gesture on the playing court. NBA Executive Vice President and Head of Basketball Operations Joe Dumars announced the fine. Morant was previously warned by the league office that this gesture could be interpreted in a negative light, the league's statement said, and that's absolutely correct, absolutely. He was just suspended an extended amount of time for waving an actual gun in a strip club on Instagram Live, as I mentioned, and now doing something like this just doesn't seem like the right idea. He really didn't think this through after coming back from what seemed to be a rehabilitation stage for him not to do those gestures, be involved with those things, and now doing the pointing of the finger guns on the court. Going into a timeout is not something that you'd want to see if you're a Memphis Grizzlies fan, management, or anybody in the NBA that follows it for that matter. So we could see the league on Wednesday had warned Morant, the Grizzlies, Golden State, and Warriors guard Buddy Hield to refrain from making a gesture that resembles shooting a gun after Morant and Hield made the gesture during Golden State's victory over Memphis on Tuesday. The league refrained from issuing a penalty after talking to both teams and the players, who were told the gesture was inappropriate and urged not to make those gestures moving forward. The players and teams involved said they were not making violent gestures. The Grizzlies have been doing that gesture and a similar gesture as a celebration all season, and other players make similar gestures, especially after making a 3. That's different. I mean, there was no 3 made here. There was no situation, and it really has to do with what has happened with Ja Morant in the past. This is going to sit over you. I mean, the issues that he's had, it's going to follow him for the rest of his career, and that was just a mistake that he made when he was very young. He's still pretty young. And it's going to follow him for probably the rest of his life, and that's unfortunate to say the least. But it did mention right there that this didn't have to do with the Warriors game. It's because it happened again. It started with the Warriors game. I don't think a fine would have happened if it wasn't for the Warriors game, which is why I want to mention that one at the top and tell you about that right there. Because I really think that's what started this again. The NBA really putting Ja Morant under a microscope, so if anything were to happen, he was going to get fined, and then he had to go ahead and do it again. So he did it in their victory over the Miami Heat. You can actually see that it says here, he brought out the finger gun gesture after making a 3 this time during Grizzlies Heat. But if he had not have done it before against the Golden State Warriors and Buddy Hield, it wouldn't have been a fine in my opinion. It just would have been a viral clip online, on X, on YouTube, wherever you would find it. It says also here that Morant, who has been suspended twice by the league for showing weapons on social media, said he isn't bothered by what people say about him. I'm kind of used to it, Morant said after Thursday's game. I was pretty much a villain for 2 years now. Every little thing, if somebody can say something negative about me, it's going to be out there. So yeah, I don't care no more. So that's very interesting to say the least. A whole lot to break down there. I mean, Morant should definitely care after all the time that he's had to spend basically in this rehabilitation stage, as he mentioned, as the bad guy. It doesn't really seem like anything really hit home with him, understanding that any of these things were wrong. I really don't understand why Ja would think that it's okay to kind of just brush this off and pay the fine. He should really take into account his actions and realize that as an NBA player as well, there's a lot of young fans watching. Do we really want that on the court? That's what the NBA looks at. Nobody should be seeing that, but especially if there's young fans watching their star player as they're growing up, they want to watch the young guys. Ja Morant's a young guy, Anthony Edwards, all the young guys there in the league right now perform very well. And to see him with a motion that isn't something you want to see on television at all, or do you really want the league represented by that? This really dives into when I look at it and got me really fired up, because it seemed as if the Taylor Jenkins firing had a lot to do with how Ja Morant wasn't getting a lot of touches. He didn't really like how things were going there in Memphis along Taylor Jenkins. The offense wasn't the way he liked it to be. He spoke up. They said it didn't have to do anything with the players, but let's be honest, it had a lot to do with the players and how they were performing as of late. They were very tired of it, and that's why firing came with just 9 games remaining in the regular season. But the team said that they wanted to kind of do what they could to keep Ja Morant this offseason because they don't want to lose him. I wouldn't be worried. When Ja Morant's not on the court for the Memphis Grizzlies, they are a better team. The numbers, the stats are there. Check them out. When Ja Morant missed time, the Grizzlies were still a playoff team. When those suspensions happened with the actual guns being shown on Instagram Live. I mean, when we look into it, is Ja Morant a winning basketball player? I'll let you decide that yourselves, but I'm going to say no. I don't think he is a winning basketball player. But there's a lot to dive into with that, Memphis' future and Ja Morant's future at that. If we get more updates, we'll keep you up to date with them here on Joe Mer Sports Podcast. And that's all that I've got to say on this topic there today. Make sure to go down below, hit the like button, comment on the video, tell me what you think about this. Tell me if there's anything that you want to see in the future that we cover that we haven't. Is there a player breaking out that we haven't covered? Is there some news that I might have missed? I'm just one guy here, so definitely let me know down below in the comments section. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the bell for notifications, and we'll see you all in the next video.